And welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, and swearing. I, of course, am Nick Cameron, the Midwest Coastal Elite. I am joined by my good friend, the man that always keeps the bells ringing, who's always going ding-dong, Quasimodo Chakas. How we doing today, buddy?
Quasimodo, really?
I'm sorry. I thought
Not a compliment.
I was going to go with Quasi, and that seemed
Again, what is that?
rude. So I apologize.
It was like, let's build up, and then bring it down. But I have been
I don't
trolling.
think so.
I've been trolling you very hard privately. So
Quasimodo he is a wonderful human being based on what I know of the book, the play, and the movies I've never seen, read, or watched.
The
So maybe
Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo.
I could possibly have no idea what I'm talking about. As always, we are off the rails. We are, it's we're on so many bumps. What was the line? So many bumps. You're off the rails. So many bumps. Your mom's oh no, we're Amtrak. We're off the rails. So, screwed that up. Welcome if you are joining us for the first time. If you are here for KISS, let me give you our logistical, situational mahuberish. We greet, we beer, we vinyl, we shirt, we news, we chew the meat. Today, the meat is, of course, the first segment of KISS. And if you think about it, we're really only going to discuss 2 years today. So we'll put a pin in that and we'll get back to it. I am drinking a brand new beer because I found a beer on clearance, singular beer on clearance for $5. And it's a double IPA. So it is Helmet Nachos by Hoof, Hardened Brewing. I am not familiar with them. I have never heard of them. But I mean, look, it's got a dude made of nachos with a sword. I don't know how you say no. It's a double IPA. I got another one. So as always, I'm double DIPA in. Or double dip it in. I don't know. Got that pop. I'm going to finger fudge. Here's how we do this, because we've been doing it off camera. So let's pop it back onto the camera. Got my 1997 St. Louis Blues glass when they brought back that logo. Just straight finger fudge to the middle.
Good.
And let it not, stopped it perfectly, which is nice because I'm not familiar with this beer. One never knows. I'll take a sip out the can.
That's not a bad idea. How'd the Blues do against the Rangers the other night?
Shut up. How'd the Blues do against the Islanders?
I don't care about the Islanders. I hate
see, I actually am upset because they won. They tried really hard to lose, but they could not come together as a team to blow that game. Amazing, because they gave up 3 goals in a minute again, just like they did to Pittsburgh or Carolina or New York. I don't know who the hell it was. Somebody in the past 7 days, they gave up 3 goals in 1 minute and 3 seconds. But they scored 3 goals in 1 minute and 3 seconds, and then they just gave it all up. Anyway, what is your beer, sir?
Rangers started off real good, and then they've gone in the shitter. What the heck with the Bruins, by the way? Oh, my God. They are going on a tear all season.
Hey, Jimmy Montgomery, former St. Louis Blue, former Missouri River Otter, former head coach of Dallas, former assistant coach of the Blues. He is a really great coach.
Yeah, for real. All my Boston friends are very happy for the Bruins. I am drinking a beer. I am drinking a beer I have had before. This is the Death Angel Absence of Light from Ale Industries here in the Bay Area. Let's get that pop hopping. Did you hear it?
I heard like a wet fart.
This microphone is not good for picking up the pops. I don't know why.
I think it picks up the pops on the recording, but I don't hear it in my ear holes.
Okay, this is an Imperial Stout. I'm not a big stout beer drinker.
I love Imperial, especially bourbon barrel Imperial Stouts. I almost actually bought one for this last night, and I don't know. I got to get a good sip of this.
I like properly. The Soen Record Imperial.
My favorite is the Schlafly Bourbon Barrel Imperial Stout. It's about 13%. It tastes like you're drinking bourbon and an Imperial Stout simultaneously.
No shit.
It is. It tastes like a happy. And that's why, well, anyway, vinyl check this week. I am busting out. This is, when I saw I Fight Dragons last time, I only knew 70% of this. I only knew 50% of the songs. They were touring on a new record, which I hadn't gotten in the mail yet. And they also played their major label debut, which was never released on vinyl till last month. So, I Fight Dragons, Kaboom. If you are into video games, silly rock songs, and nerdy dudes that look like they should never have been anywhere near a guitar, this is your band. I now have everything they have ever released on vinyl. Kaboom, the 2 EPs leading up to Kaboom, we just got dumped off our major label and I Hate You All record, Canonize, and then the B-Sides record, which is a double that they put out last year. But check out this cool. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it.
That's lovely. Camera. Yeah, that's lovely.
It's a really
candy
nice
apple red.
It's a really nice like foil melty bit in the center. So it's great pressing. It's a great record. It's a great band. If you're not familiar with them and you've ever watched the Goldbergs, they are the band doing the theme song on the Goldbergs.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the show.
Well, I would have recommended it until, things got a little problematic, but that's besides the point. What you got?
Well, I got a vinyl, but I have first, before I vinyl check, I have to do a brand new thing we've never done before, which is a Funko check. And there's a reason why. I'll keep it quick. I was pet sitting this weekend for my friend Rebecca, and pet sitting, I used to live there, so I know these animals in this home very well. And I was there for a few days. I came back today expressly to do the podcast, so you should know that. I could have stayed another day. I was very comfortable there, but I like to be home to do the pod. And so, as part of a getaway weekend to Seattle, they went to the Funko HQ in Everett, Washington, and they made me a Funko. You have to see this. I actually took it out of the box. It's so cool. Look at this Funko of me. Oh my God.
See, when you sent me that picture, I'm like, I don't know who that Funko is.
It's me. Literally, the box says the Keefy, and it literally has a microphone and a beer, and you can't tell.
Real quick, can I quote one of my favorite movies?
Sure.
You've got a mustache. I know.
Alrighty. Yeah, so this is a Funko of me, and it's rad.
That is awesome.
And I did not know you could do that. I didn't either. It was based off of this photo I sent everybody of me hanging out with the cat at the house, Jax. So when you make the Funko in the Funko machine, it says, do you want him to have a sidekick? So I got a sidekick cat with my Funko. I don't actually have an orange cat, but they do. So really cool. Thank you, Rebecca and Omar, for getting me.
Well, that is vinyl, so that counts as a vinyl check.
All right then. And then if you want very quickly, my vinyl check is the Megadeth recent album, The Sick, The Dying, The Dead.
How is that? I have not heard anything from it.
It's really great. Most of it, like 80% of it is awesome, and then it kind of falls off a little bit at the end.
No, Megadeth has been going too long for the past 10 years, 20 years.
I don't know about that. But it's a pretty great record. I love Dirk Verbeuren on drums. They sent this to me. I'm not bragging. It's a humble brag. They sent this to me.
I would brag.
And this is the first thing I have received in a long time of anything that says promotional, not for sale. So literally, I got the equivalent. It was on the label here in the room.
Still.
But like, yeah. So 2 vinyls for the whole record. And so just really quick, it's the plain 180 gram, but it does come with this pretty neat, if I can get it here. It's pretty neat slip in lyric book. It's got lyrics. I'm showing it's got lyrics, trying to make it not reflect in the light. And on double LP, we've
just remain in the light. It's fine.
Just the very good 180 gram on 4 sides, and it did come with the Mylar and the paper. So
if you're a major band, you should be doing that. You should not. If you don't, I hate you.
Yeah, they're on. There goes the phone.
Although Roger Waters, and if I could just briefly, and we'll dig into this news more as it comes. Roger Waters has announced 2 records for 2023. One is done. It's being mastered. That is the Lockdown Sessions. I'm going to presume there's going to be a lot of Pink Floyd reimaginings, like we have heard Mother, we have heard Comfortably Numb. And then he's also going to be expanding the song he's been playing on tour, The Bar, which is about fucking Julian Assange. So awesome. Hopefully it discusses Putin too, so that'll be great.
Is it
Looking
about
forward.
fucking Julian Assange or that guy fucking Julian Assange?
That guy fucking Julian.
Oh,
Well, I don't know. I don't
you
know.
said
Wait.
that with a very strange punctuation and inflection.
You know what? Wait till we hear it because it could go based on the way Roger's been lately. I don't know, man. But excited to listen to that second one, and I'm excited to genuinely listen to the first one, and we will discuss that more as time goes on. My shirt check, I am rocking Motive, which is a death thrash band out of Arizona. My old friend Steve. Oh damn it! I can't remember his last name now. I feel absolutely terrible. My friend Steve, who lived in St. Louis back in the day, who was in a band called Crucible and a band called Travail, moved to Phoenix for a number of years and started Motive. Pretty cool band. You can check them out at, I believe, motiveaz.bandcamp.com.
Alrighty. Yeah, my shirt check. This is just my regular Thor Marvel superhero 60s comic book t-shirt. I like this thing. Maybe it's actually not, yeah, it's probably not the 60s, probably the 70s Thor. And because 60s Thor is a little too Jack Kirby-ish. You got a weird thing going on with your video. Is your connections all okay?
Everything is fine, but I'm getting a little
glitchy.
It's being weird. Yeah.
Okay. No worries.
Let's see if that does. See if that
sometimes it. Sometimes it helps.
I apologize. It's been goofy, but
no
let us now.
So we had the Roger news, and I know we were going to do a very expansive news piece in a second. I just want to interject for 1 second. I don't want to take too long to talk about it. I just want to talk for a second about the Pantera first shows that have happened.
I have listened to a little bit, not much, so my input is going to be minimal here.
I just want to say it's just like anything else. Just like talking about Roger, we often have to give a disclaimer because there's a whole segment of the population angry at these people. I am not forgiving, forgetting, or anything about Philip and anything he's ever done, or Zach, or Rex. To my knowledge, Charlie is a pure spirit and a pure soul. He's like the chick in Dogma who doesn't get shot at the movie's headquarters. Even though she didn't say bless you when he sneezed, she gets.
You're getting off lucky.
Loki?
You're getting off light.
So, Charlie, as far as I know, other than, some dealings with anthrax, he's a good dude. I know Philip is a flawed and controversial person. Rex has made mistakes. Zach has said very questionable shit.
I like to think of Rex from No Good Attack the Radical, and I've decided that is where it stopped.
Oh, right. I don't know what that means.
It's basically him singing against Nazis and KKK members.
That's Philip, not Rex. But yeah, I know.
Oh, did I say Rex? I meant Philip. I'm sorry.
No, Philip has done some horrible things and doesn't deserve to be necessarily. You don't forget. But again, this is for a discussion for another time. There's many, again, people love Ted Nugent. I think he's deplorable and sucks. The whole music world, to an extent, is curious about this Pantera thing. Whatever it is, it's a tribute. It's not a reunion. The first press release said reunion. It probably should not have. It sells tickets to say reunion. Even the members of the band have said this is a tribute. It could never be the same band, obviously, without the brothers. Rest in peace, Daryl and Vinny. But yeah, I have gotten, not for the thousands of clicks to my website and social media, but I shared like one meme. If you don't like the Pantera reunion, don't go. And that caused kerfluffle on Twitter from Antifa Twitter and woke Twitter. And you can't be more left and woke than me, but okay, fine. That somehow I'm a bad person for sharing platform.
I believe me, know those feels. I actually had to disconnect from a friend who called me a racist.
Yes,
because I am against a politician who is legitimately corrupt and awful.
Yeah, I get it. So, listen, you don't know my history. You don't know the history of Ghost Cult Mag. That's what I'm referring to. If you don't care for Pantera, or you fucking hate Phil, or you think Rex and Zach are racist people, fair enough. Also, fuck all the way off with this shit. You don't know me. You can't judge me. You have no idea about my history, the history of the culminative staff of Ghost Cult. Just fuck off, please. Just please fuck off. You have no idea. Anyway, I'm glad that this thing happened. I'm glad the first show happened. I extensively listened to, watched, and checked out all the stuff. And I have no problem with it. And we will talk further about this another time. People are a little mad. As Zach promised, he always tells on himself. He did not note for note play the dime bag stuff. And that's the thing people are upset about. He said he never would. He wasn't going to. You've seen him do covers. You've seen him at G3 every year. He does not play the Jimmy stuff note for note. He'll play Eruption and finger fudge the Eruption solo his own way. He's too egotistical to ever subvert his own ego and his own will and not do it his pinch squeal bullshit way. So that being said, he did a great job. He covered the songs. That's what I care most about. Not whether he played the solos note for note. Who cares? Really, like, who said he was supposed to? But anyway, welcome back, Pantera, whatever you are. And I'm personally glad they're doing their thing. And this ties into our other news story because they're involved in the Metallica World Tour.
Let's just call him Pantoozle.
Whatever.
Right.
Just call him Pant. I like the best joke. There's a lot of jokes. The best joke was just call him Pant because the era is over. Oh, super funny. Nick is gone. He's back. He's gone. He may be back. Now he's gone.
Stupid.
Anyway, I'm super thrilled that this thing is happening. And Charlie was magnificent. Rex and Philip sounded great. Philip actually looks and sounds really good for a 50-something-year-old guy singing.
I heard some questions about how good he sounded.
I think he sounded for his age. And
no, you're misunderstanding. People had questions about how he sounded so good.
Oh, there's no tapes. Come on, bro. There's none.
I don't know. I'm telling you what I heard. This by minimal.
You also said you didn't watch it, so unless you watched it,
I watched a little, not much.
Gotta watch more.
I need to watch it, and I will.
I didn't see any evidence of him. He's not going to use tapes. He's Philip Anselmo. He can't sing like he used to sing, but he's definitely not using tapes.
Well, I hope not. I desperately hope not.
Yeah, and Zach, I think he just sang the chorus of Walk. He sang nothing else.
Fair enough.
Which is interesting because he's quite a good singer when he wants to be.
Discuss this more as more stuff comes up, and I will definitely check out the next concert before next week, and I can give you a couple ideas on a couple of songs.
Yeah, they already played their second show last night, and there's footage on a whole Pro Shot concert. So,
and real quick, how awesome is it that we can sit here? They played in Mexico City, was it? Is that where Heaven and Hell Fest is?
Toluca.
Toluca. They played in Toluca, Mexico, and we've been able to catch some of it for free. So awesome. But let's dig in a little bit into the mega news, which I don't want.
Was that a dig? Mega news?
No. What?
Tele news, not mega news.
I don't want to go too deep. I know we said we gave a limit, but I want to see if we can get a little under that, just because this is going to be such a story that we're going to be discussing on the weekly. Of course, Metallica has announced their tour. Metallica has announced their umpteenth record. I've lost count because they do doubles, and who the fuck knows? Their fifth record. It is called 72 Seasons. The cover art is yellow and black. I don't like that. I have been trying to figure out the significance of 72 seasons so far. I have not figured that out. So, okay.
I have you covered if you need it.
Hit it.
I am not coincidentally wearing my Muddy Roots hat to match the Metallica album cover. And this is more of a gold, and that's more of a yellow, a Pantone yellow. So James gave an explanation in an interview as to what the record is about. Sorry, my phone was ringing, and I have a new phone, and I don't know how to do anything with it. So I'm just going to shut it off so it doesn't ring again. 72 Seasons is the first 18 years of your life. And James this is a concept on the whole album, it's a commentary about the song and the album, that the first 18 years of your life forms you as a person and dictates somewhat the path of the rest of your life. And this is obviously another James, ever since Saint Anger and rehab the first time and renewing his religion and things like that, he's got these very introspective, philosophical, spiritual lyrics he has never really had before to any level. So I think,
well, I mean, honestly, I'm here for that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
You know, and let's talk about the single a little bit real quick. I had only heard it once when last we spoke, and it really gave me vibes of the Black Album. And if there is any well, I hope to God they never dip from again, it's that one.
Really?
And yeah, it's so, and it's not just them, even though every Metallica show I've ever been to, they played Enter Sandman. And they still play half of that record almost every night, which is unnecessary for me. But it's not just that, but it's just so overplayed. And I get why it is. I get it. It's me. This would be like me complaining about, oh, they play Time and Breathe and Great Gig in the Sky all the time by Pink Floyd. I mean, can you believe? I mean, we're talking about records that sold 30 million plus. That is not, what are there, 10 records that did that? Maybe 15.
I
So
don't really hear the Black Album. I hear
that's what I heard the first
I,
listen.
I
First
hear
listen.
Kill 'Em All.
Agreed.
I hear Death Magnetic and Hardwired. So I hear the old school new wave of British heavy metal and
I heard a little bit of Lightning as well.
early thrash, a little bit of Ride the Lightning, but really it's more of a heavy metal song. It literally sounds like Overkill by Motorhead. Most of the song. The beat is amazing.
Yes, Lars is MVP on this
he's
track.
Been the MVP for a while of the band, to be honest. Him and James.
I mean, he's always been the MVP because he is the Jimmy Page of Metallica.
Fair. So yeah, I love what I heard, and I loved it from the second I heard it. And I don't think a new Metallica song, we'll talk about it, pushes down the rest of music. I think that's very short-sighted. Don't be hateful.
Know what? There's two ways of looking at this. It's wrong for Metallica to release a record, or it's okay for them to release a record. I am for everyone releasing a record all the time. So sorry, they get to do that. They own their own record label. It's Blackened Records, and no. I mean, the idea of it pushing down, and it's Metallica gets their due. They don't. It's not like they're dropping records every other week. They're not Buckethead, who I need to unfollow on Bandcamp because holy shit, that dude emails me 8 times a day. He emails me more than bill collectors.
You just have to unsubscribe from the notification.
I need to do that. I need to
unfollow. You can still, you've bought something from him, you will still get messages, but you can unfollow so you don't get them all. It's crazy. Let me ask you a question. I thought from the very instance I heard it, first of all, I was just shocked and surprised it was a song and a video.
Yeah, I remember I was at work. I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, I pull up my phone, and I look, I'm like, wait a minute, what? And then my first thought was, oh shit, is this like Lords of Summer?
We joked about that not too long ago, that we were going to drop some in-between material.
I feel like we all need to collectively forget that song ever happened.
The day before the song came out, we ran our album of the year stuff and I did a podcast interview with my colleague Vicky, who is an original OG Metallica fan club member, and has photographed the band and covered the band for Ghost Cold, and a huge lifetime fan.
All the business.
Much more even than you and I. Not a casual fan, a fly around the world, see them wherever fan.
Right.
And she and we did our segment of the countdown, and I put her on the spot, and I was like, 2 wildcard questions. Will we get a new Metallica record in 23 or 24? And she says 24 or 25. The next day the song comes out and the announcement is made. Oops. And the other question is, will Paramount unfuck itself, and will we get like new Star Trek movies? And she was like, yeah, definitely no. So
anywho. Well, you know what? I don't like new Trek. I'll yell at that cloud, but that's another day. Go ahead.
What I was going to ask you was, so I liked it. I immediately heard what it is. I know what Metallica is capable of. I know what Metallica I'm getting when I open the Metallica box. So I'm not like, they don't sound like 1986.
I don't want
immediately. People also were like, see, Stranger Things has a big hit with Master of Puppets, and then they come right. But this is what they've been doing since Death Magnetic. They've been doing thrash metal and heavy metal. That's what they are. That's where they're going to stay the rest of their career. They have decided, they're not going to do too many. They've already got all the experimental stuff out of their system.
They're heavy thrash, and that's why they're going to finish this.
But what about repeat listens changed your mind about the song? That's what I want to know.
Okay, fair enough. Well, the first thing is, like I said, it immediately when I listened to it, I heard Black Album. And that makes sense because the Black Album was probably the first record where Kirk Hammett had a larger role, where the guitars weren't just James. In terms of writing, there were a lot more Kirk riffs on that record, and his riffs are different than James's riffs, which is why I like Death Magnetic better than Hardwired. Hardwired is too dry for me. I much prefer Death Magnetic. And also, there's a couple of songs on Death Magnetic that are a little bit squiffy for me. Murder One comes to mind. Look, I love that you did it. I love that you love Lemmy, but you could have done better to honor him. And Spit Out the Bone is a little squiffy for me, but Death Magnetic is strong all the way through. Maybe we didn't need Unforgiven 3, but whatever. Hopefully Unforgiven 4 is on this one because it's been a minute since we've had a new Unforgiven. But one of the things was James's vocals. There's been a lot of talk about how his vocals have changed over the years, and he has rarely sounded the same from album to album. And I think, except for Load and Reload, of course. And I think that's awesome. He has grown and changed, and he has done something that some people like Paul Stanley couldn't bring themselves to fucking do. He sensed his elderly. He sensed that he was growing older. He felt it, and instead of forcing 35-year-old James to sing like 19-year-old James, he adjusted. He adjusted his delivery around Load. And then they started playing everything a half step down, and he still can sing in key, on time, and with a melody, and he can still belt out some growls. Also, that double bass line from Lars on this one, when I listened to that again, it really hit it. We also didn't have James going la di da di da di da di ba 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 hoo 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 over everything, which is we've gotten a lot of lately, as we discussed previously. It's the more I listen to it, because I'm gun shy from Metallica. When it came to when it came to Hardwired, I almost didn't pre-order the goddamn thing. And I love Lulu.
I didn't
And I'm like,
Yeah, I was so down on them after Lulu. I didn't.
But I
I
love
did
Lulu,
not
and I
buy
still
it day
wasn't
one.
gonna.
Actually, I had to listen to the whole thing first.
But I remember telling myself, I love Metallica. What the hell am I thinking? Okay,
We're
so
gonna have some words offline about you thinking "Spit Out the Bone" is squiffy. It's the best song they've done since
okay. Look,
'99.
I accept that I normally maintain the minority opinion.
You're
I am fine with that. You
are a contrarian. It's not about having the right opinion that agrees with everybody. "Spit Out the Bone" is a great song and is the best song on Hardwired. Anyway,
you know what? Okay, full disclosure. Perhaps I don't remember it well enough. I will say I hate.
You listened to Van Halen with Van Hagar today, and you're gonna.
I did.
You have no leg to
You have not lived in St. Louis. You have not had the Sammy Hagar Stockholm syndrome.
Sammy Hagar is a deplorable choice. Anyway, always. Anywho, I love the song. I'm really excited. They put out a lyric video today as we record this, a few days after this airs.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I don't care.
Well, I'm just saying, like, only Metallica can put out the same content twice and still have a big thing.
Right, I'm sure it's going to have 38 million views by tomorrow.
Interestingly enough, they put it out in different languages, which I think is a first for them.
Oh, very smart.
It's translated into not the singing, but like subtitled into other languages. That would be sick.
Not like David Lee Roth.
I want to see James go out and do a Japanese version of the same song on day one. Like that.
Hey, David Lee Roth did "Eat 'Em and Smile" in Spanish for South America.
And Joey Belladonna has done Anthrax song in Spanish. I think I forget which one. But I love the song. Bring on the rest of the album. There have been other complaints. You complained about the yellow. I think it's interesting. You learn in art school.
Let me say all my complaints about this. I'm going to complain right now, but when I complain about what Metallica does is because I haven't gotten it yet.
I didn't even see. I saw yellow is totally noticeable, and I think it's on purpose. But in a classic art making sense, on the Pantone wheel, yellow is the opposite of black. So to put them together is supposed to be startled by it. They are polar opposites on the color wheel. Also, the crib that is burnt with broken and burnt toys all over the place. So again, this has got a very deep meaning that has to do with when we hear the 72 season song. I'm very interested in it. It is a 79-minute album. Once again, co-produced by the band and Greg Fiddleman. So there's a definite possibility for squiffiness.
They have not released a single album since Master of Puppets.
Right.
Everything past that has been 65.
Do you think Metallica fans would have felt cheated if they just made a short 45-minute record?
Yes.
They can't. They can't bring themselves.
No, they can't. They've
they
never
have to
been able
fill
to
up the vinyl.
And the second one.
Yes, they have to fill up 2 sides, 4 sides.
4 sides. Hey, I love that because it's not crazy expensive. So
I didn't think the vinyls were very high priced either.
I believe I'm going to pre-order mine on Amazon on Friday.
Okay.
Just waiting for things to move forward, and I'm just going to get the black one. Maybe later on down the road I'll get a cooler, like later release one, but I think it's only $35, so I mean, no complaints there.
And then as we wrap this up, because we're right at time on this, what are your thoughts about the world tour? $8,000 tickets for you and 7 of your friends to stand on stage.
I'm not doing that. I'm gonna buy. My kid has asked to go, but she also said she's not sure if she wants to go. Either way, I'm gonna buy 2-night tickets when I can. If I can only buy one, I'm actually gonna buy the one that's not Pantera. Not because of Pantera or anything like that, but just because it'll be cheaper.
I don't think it'll be cheaper unless you're talking about secondary markets.
On the same. By the time I may have to be.
The single tickets are going on sale in January. So what they did, I think people did not understand. And yes, they're high priced. They're Metallica tickets. They're high priced. And there's only 7.
There's only 7 dates.
7 dates. There are
2 dates each, but
7 cities, 14 shows, 2 years. That's the North American tour. I think that both Metallica and Pantera will add festival shows.
Right.
They'll do the Danny Wimmer festivals. They'll do something.
They're playing 7 shows in North America, then doing a bit of a European tour, then coming back. But everywhere they go on this tour, it's 1 city, 2 days.
Right. And no repeats. So like if you win both nights, you're getting a unique special show. You're not going to hear the same set twice. I'm telling you, Saint Anger and Load and Reload could happen. Just brace yourself.
I would rather have Death Magnetic.
I would too, but I don't think
I didn't get Death Magnetic.
That's
in
not on the
2017.
cards. And they barely played that stuff live, actually. Even when I saw them on tour in 2009, they barely played that stuff.
The live album that they did for that album
has none of it. None of it.
One song.
Yeah. Is it My Apocalypse? It's the only one.
Cyanide. It's got Cyanide.
It's not even a good one.
No, it's not. It's like it's lower anyway. Anything else you need to say?
Not really. Congratulations, Metallica, for subverting expectations. People will be mad. We have 5 months, literally 5 months and 7 days to debate this shit, unpack this shit, talk about it. We will have a Metallica Vinyl Club final in between then. They still haven't won. They still haven't put up the new year yet.
Yeah,
but
I think we'll probably get that in January. Honestly,
can't imagine they're not going to do it, but I don't know. They're Metallica. They just do one thing after the other. They have no relent. They have no quit. And I wouldn't be surprised if they last year there was a deadline of the end of the year, right?
Right.
Maybe they'll push that deadline because they put a new record out and that's what they want to sell. But I still don't believe. I'd be hard pressed to feel like they're going to skip it after. I feel like
I don't think they're going to skip it. But what I'm saying is, considering that it's late.
Yeah. Okay.
The first one should have come out in January if it's 2022. So 3, 6, 9, I guess 12. But then the second one came out last month? They
probably didn't press them until they knew how many people paid.
Yeah. So I think we're looking at next Vinyl Club coming out next year. And then they're gonna
24.
Yeah, I think they're gonna hit it in January. Just 23. I'm sorry, 23. Just to push it. But yeah, I have nothing else on Metallica. If you're ready to hit
I'm ready. Let's on with the Kiss. And this is technically I'll call this our series because we would have done Kiss eventually, but I was resistant to do Kiss from the jump when I joined because Nick and it's like Pink Floyd. What can we uncover about Kiss that we haven't already talked about in other avenues? We love Kiss, but I relented and I said, it's a good idea. We needed a short series to end the year. So to me, this is an extended chaser version of Kiss.
Correct. So
take it away, Nicholas. I'm going to shut up.
So we're going to start off with the first 3 years, basically. I am going to take some of Peter Criss's 1972 and cornhole that stuff into 73, but whatevs. So, we're going to talk about Chelsea. Are you familiar with Chelsea?
Indeed, I am. And Lips.
I am sorry. Chelsea is hippie bullshit, completely unnecessary. They put out a half a record or maybe a full record. It fell apart, and then Peter was playing at the Italian restaurants again in a jazz cover band.
Who's the guy from Chelsea that's Peter's writing partner? Stan Pemberton?
Penrose.
Penridge. Stanley Penridge, right?
Yes, they did a bunch of shit together.
Yeah, and he's a good, talented guy. He's not untalented.
Correct.
He's just not a rock. He's not a rocker.
Correct.
He's like also a Bernie Taupin. He's like a
he's
side guy.
Yeah, he's
sorry to call the greatest lyricist ever a side guy, but he's a side guy.
He's Randy Newman, man.
Oh God, no, please.
You eat an apple, he's gonna write a song about it.
You taking a walk and eating an apple and saying, "Hi, Mr. Bird, how are you today?" Horrible. If you like Randy Newman, stop listening to this podcast. Go to your window and jump the fuck out.
Okay, no.
Randy Newman is terrible.
I know, but no. Let's be sensitive and calm and drunk. So, moving forward, that's actually where the song Beth is written. Put a pin in that. That's a real big deal if you've never heard that song. So, put a pin in that. We'll get to that next week. Now, let's move on over into Molimo. Are you familiar with Molimo?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, that's fine. Have you ever heard Ace Frehley play lead guitar in Molimo? Have you heard the first 3 Kiss records?
Yes.
You've heard everything he did in Molimo.
That's probably true, yes.
No, it's completely true.
Ace is a big repeater of things.
Recently, by recently, I mean, 9 years ago, the test pressings of the Molimo demo were discovered. Like a dude found him in a fucking barn. He's like looking through a barn and he's like, what the hell's Molimo? And Google. Holy shit. So he auctioned them on eBay, as you do. But before he did that, he released them on YouTube. So anybody that wanted to hear them could. And if you're a major collector, you can hear it. So if you have, Molimo is, imagine 10 years after, but hungover and trying to get drunk to get through the hungover. And you're kind of at Molimo. Basically, if you hit Alvin Lee in the knee with a rock and then kicked him in the junk and gave him a beer, that's Molimo. And, maybe I am being smart-assed about this, but I mean, it's not great. There's a reason why they didn't get signed. I'm sorry. So, next we move on into Wicked Lester, featuring Gene Simmons. Actually, no, Gene Klein.
Iron Wits.
And no, it was Gene Klein.
Gene Klein and Stanley Eisen.
Stanley Eisen, correct. Later, as we know.
2 nice boys from Queens, New York.
Have you ever heard Wicked Lester?
I have heard all of Wicked Lester
shit.
At infinitum. I was obsessed with Wicked Lester in the 80s.
Wow.
Because I was obsessed with Kiss in the 70s. I wouldn't say I love Wicked Lester, but I love that Wicked Lester existed so Kiss could exist.
See, the thing about Wicked Lester is Chelsea 2 years later. Hippie nonsense bullshit. And one of the things that people forget about, so Paul Stanley says in the Unplugged, well, people are surprised how good this sounds acoustic. Well, we come from a school that says if it sounds bad on acoustic, it's a crappy song. And I'm like, you didn't play anything from the 80s and mostly any good stuff from the 70s. So, okay, buddy. But a lot of the stuff they wrote on the first 2 records, and including Wicked Lester, which was a wellspring from which they could return to the fishing. It's a lot of big, open, chordy stuff that was acoustic originally. And then they just played it on their electrics, Going Blind, Coming Home, Strutter, Black Diamond. There's a lot of just that big, open, chordy kind of hippie stuff. That's just where they were at the time.
It's like the Gen 2 Bob Dylan, when Dylan goes electric.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The Birds, Poco, Flying Burrito Brothers, early Eagles, first couple albums, Eagles. This was like de rigueur in rock music at the time. You couldn't be the Beatles, and you were not going to be the Stones or Zeppelin. And believe me, Kiss tried the Stones and Zeppelin super hard. early, super hard. But if you couldn't approximate those things, the next biggest thing was the Byrds.
Mm-hmm.
That
Look, there were several
country
different
rock for
highways.
better.
Yeah, there were several different highways you could take to get there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think I have described about Kiss so far is they were not unwilling to take any of them. I don't think that Ace Frehley is the only person that's ever really described music, like people and concerts that he went to that I can remember. Gene and Paul, oh, the Beatles, oh, this, oh, that, oh, Cream. But, that's just the beginning. They don't seem to love music. Like
Gene Simmons likes to talk about the 1950s and Ike and Tina Turner and Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry and nothing past 1961.
Sorry, son, there's been 60 years.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, your influences are your influences.
Right.
I
get
Paul
that.
never mentions, Screaming Jay Hawkins or preachers or rabbis or anyone he ever ran into that gave him that stage presence. It's probably Little Richard. Probably Little Richard.
Or Albert King.
Or Albert King or someone like,
the one that actually sang Love Gun in 1967.
Muddy Waters. Yeah, we know.
Anyway.
But like
so that's who
what's interesting? This is just a wild aside. Considering these varied and unsuccessful projects, and considering that it took Kiss 4 years or almost 4 or 5 years to make it, air quotes, make it, to get successful and figure the formula out. It's wild they didn't have a psychedelic phase. Because Aerosmith has a psychedelic phase, Deep Purple has a psychedelic phase, ZZ Top had a psychedelic phase. You could argue ZZ Top's original album is their psychedelic phase. Kiss never had one.
I can tell you why.
They weren't good enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul said himself, we couldn't be prog. We weren't good enough. We couldn't be riffy. We weren't good enough. If you can't be prog or riffy, how the hell are you going to do psychedelia? They couldn't play wah-wahs on those platforms. And this is before wireless ones where dudes could punch them in the back. So lots of reasons. It's obvious. Anywho, so
continue.
We have this group of 4 people that end up coming together. Gene and Paul go meet Peter literally at the Italian restaurant where he's playing, very prestigious, basically at his end. He's 27 at this point. And in the 70s, if you're 23, you're too old. So he had decided that he was going to actually sell off his drums and walk away from music at this point. That's when he meets Gene and Paul, and then they decide to keep him. Some of Peter's friends, according to his book, did say they shouldn't be auditioning you should be auditioning them. My God, the egos on these really, really sub-mediocre musicians is staggering. Led Zeppelin comes out and they're like, yeah, we're Led Zeppelin, yay. Black Sabbath, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just 4 blokes from Birmingham. And then Kiss, we're the greatest rock band in the world. Okay, yeah, GCD is great. Yeah, we all love that too. Yeah, so, and none of you wrote your biggest hits, but that's besides the point. So they come together, they find Ace, who's a nut bar, and apparently jerk to the gherkin all the time in order to get out of moving amplifiers. So they start rehearsing 5 days a week for 5 hours, and you got to respect that kind of level of craftsmanship. They get through it, they do it, all that good stuff. Then they start trying to, and this is where the essence of Kiss is formed, which is what something David Lee Roth takes later. It's not how good you feel, it's how good you look. That is something David Lee Roth takes to the utmost degree, several years down the road. Kiss shows up, they're doing makeup shows. They pretend to be their own road crew in the afternoons. They use fake amplifier speakers. So they looked bigger and badder. They would only play once or twice a month in New York. So people thought they were on tour. The whole thing is this mirage. And it worked. absolutely worked. So then they do this. Eventually, they move into this. Uh, what do they call those fucking things? Showcase. They do a showcase with the Brats and other folks. I believe one of the Brats was a friend of Peter's. One of the drummer for the Brats was a good friend of Peter's. So they end up doing this show at what was it, the Academy of Music, which was basically a whorehouse.
It was
And
actually a really great theater. It was a converted vaudeville theater. I had seen shows there. It went out of business in the 90s, but I had seen
I'm sorry. No. We're not there yet. I apologize. I got the wrong. It
the
was the
Academy is
hotel.
not a whorehouse.
No,
It's
no, no.
it's a
We
great
weren't
venue.
wrong venue. I apologize to the Academy of Music.
Okay.
This was Hotel Diplomat,
That's different. That's a whorehouse.
which was a whorehouse.
A
There we go.
straight up hoe house. A
Yeah. So
hoe HOE towel.
yeah, if you go to the third floor, horse. You go to the fifth floor,
And I'm not
horse.
disparaging sex workers.
No,
Some of them are my best friends. But
look, you do you, I'll do me. It's
okay.
fine.
I mean, for money, we'll do anything.
But
so we'll kiss.
that is not the venue necessarily to go check out a band to go signed. And the fourth floor was the showcase. Also in that show, Gene Simmons lit a fan on fire in his face because he had a fireball gimmick that he used that night. That he burned a guy in the face. So he stopped doing it. I just gotta look. I don't want to. How long? Oh, we're going late, so let's move. Let's push. So we get into the first record, and the first record is basically a lot of leftovers, a lot of good stuff. Oh, at Hotel Diplomat, they are signed by Bill Aucoin, who promises them a record deal. That record deal comes with Casablanca Records.
Think about the balls, just really quick. Think about the balls on these guys. They told Bill Aucoin, who wasn't a music industry guy, was a TV guy, we will sign with you if you get us signed in 2 weeks.
I thought Bill said that.
I may be wrong on that. I think that was that was Paul and Gene's condition to him.
Well, either way,
because he's like, I'm so connected. I know everybody.
Right.
Get us signed in 2 weeks.
Either way,
to a real good label.
Well, missed that mark. Either way, somebody
I don't know how, but they had some balls. Those guys with no success track record yet. But anyway, go ahead.
So they get signed by Neil Bogarts, formerly of Buddha Records, starting his own label, Casablanca Records. He asked them to take off their makeup. They say no. Okay, great. So they go in. They do a lot of bits and bobs. They re-record Stanley the Parrot into Strutter. They dropped the first single, I believe, about anal sex on FM radio. Nothing to Lose. Firehouse, which is the Gene Simmons Shoot the Fire moment. Cold Gin, which is Ace Frehley's only contribution and does not feature a solo, which becomes a running motif in the Kiss library, which I don't completely understand. Let Me Know, which was just kind of a throwaway track. Closest thing to filler on this, if you don't count side two's Kissin' Time, which was a cover that they were a reimagining of a cover. Then they do Deuce, which is the first song Ace Frehley learned, and he still plays in concert today, and probably the greatest Kiss song. It is everything great about Kiss. Love theme from Kiss, completely unnecessary definition of filler. They didn't have enough songs to fill the record. Then we move on to 100,000 Years, which is an abject classic. And the fact that they pulled this out of rotation is a war crime.
It's a terribly underrated song in their history. It's really great. Drum solo or no, alive or no. It's a really underrated good song. It's funny that you think Deuce is the best song ever that they made.
Everybody gets a perfect song. That's theirs.
I want to know what. I know your man is working hard. He's worth a deuce. Is it 2 fucks? Is it two blows? Is it 2 meals? What is a deuce? Is it a deuce? Like we're British, go fuck yourself. What is it? What is a deuce? Is it poo? I don't know what it is. I know your man is working hard. He's worth a deuce. What the deuce, as Stewie would say from Family Guy. Like
I will tell you what the deuce is. It's whatever you want it to be.
Okay. Tickle the pickle, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm going to say this. What's interesting about the first Kiss record, you said it's like we're not done yet, but you said it's leftovers. It's hodgepodging. I feel like the first Kiss record and the first 3 Kiss albums are their Gene and Paul as writers. As Paul, my favorite quote of all time in the music industry: "If you're gonna steal a diamond."
Not a piece of glass.
They have stolen a lot of diamonds. They love Motown. Like I said, Gene loves Motown and Stax. Paul loves early classic rock. They were peers. They wanted to be considered on the level of Zeppelin and Sabbath and Deep Purple. These are bands they borrowed heavily from. Deuce and Strutter are heavily ripped off Stone songs. Heavily. Literally, Deuce is the riff from Bitch backwards.
Correct.
Literally the chord progression of Bitch reversed.
There was an interview in Guitar World where they talked about basically all of the songs from the first 3 records and some later ones and where they came from. And he said flat out, it is Bitch backwards, but it ends in A. So then we finish off with the super bloated version of Black Diamond. Super bloated because it has the 80-second fade out, which is not necessary. But this is another one of those amazing songs.
Black Diamond is an abject banger and is one of the few times Kiss has a song that's serious and not about hooking up and chicks and partying and rock and roll. It's actually like a serious street. It's a commentary. It's a song from New Yorkers about like New York life, which is wild to me that they didn't do more of this because it's really good.
But how many times are they going to hit that home run?
Never. With these guys, never.
Right. Every member of the band is the star on this record, on this song. So, okay. Again, love them. I play a Black Les Paul because of Ace Frehley. I have that, my Kiss records are right over there. This is a long time love affair, but I'm not abjectly uncritical. So they go on tour, a lot of 1-week tours, 2-week tours. They get thrown off of shows because they would go crazy and they would leave the stage in a horrible state for the opening, for the closing act. And then of course, it's the 1970s. You get a lot of wonderful rock business that who knows if any of it's true. We're going to leave it alone. Nobody got arrested. So probably about a 3-month tour, not real long back then. This is still the 70s. This is still the time of back into the studio. So they go back into the studio for the second time in less than a year to kick out Hotter Than Hell, which this is the album that ingratiates them in Japan. The album designer decided, fuck it, I'm throwing Japanese shit on here. And so all their names are in Japanese and katakana and all kinds of good stuff like that, playing up the kabuki aspect. This is recorded in Los Angeles. Ace Frehley has his first of many drunken car wrecks. And so there are pictures of him wearing only his makeup on one side of his face because there were too many scars and stitches on the other. Harbingers of things to come. Unfortunately, the songwriting was not, because it's amazing. And Kiss is a band of diminishing returns. I am sorry. It is true.
I'm going to say that I think Hotter Than Hell is not as good as Dress to Kill, and I'm in the minority on that one. But I think
a minority opinion.
Hotter Than Hell is a mixed bag. It is a mixed bag. In some ways, it's an improvement over the original album.
It's not. It's not an improvement there. It's a different record.
It feels very rushed to me. There are some great tracks. There's some great tracks.
We start off with Got to Choose, which that is clearly a song never meant to be a Kiss tune. All the bar chords, the open chords, the silliness, the crazy high stuff. It was never meant to be a Kiss tune. Then you have Ace Frehley's Parasite. It's all right. It's got a good riff.
Oh my God, Parasite is one of the best Kiss songs. It's one of the best early Kiss songs.
It's better when Anthrax
first
does it.
Real metal song. Actually, the best cover of Kiss's Parasite is by Prong, and you should go listen to it. But
I will fight you.
Anthrax's Parasite is very good. A lot of other bands have also done it.
Yeah.
It is borderline a metal song. There's a handful of early Kiss songs that could almost be considered metal.
It's as close
like Black Sabbath metal.
Right. Yeah. Not metal now.
No.
Then we go into Goin' Blind, one of my absolute favorite songs. It was immaculate on both Alive 4 and both Unplugged.
Yeah,
The
Going Blind is brilliant. No notes.
The electric version is my favorite, however.
Okay.
Then we move into Hotter Than Hell, which is a ripoff of All Right Now by Free. Good song, doesn't replace Firehouse, but was intended to. Let Me Go Rock and Roll. The studio version sucks. The live version, we'll get to that. And then Flip That Shiz. All the Way, Throw It Away.
Terrible.
Watching You. Oh, yeah.
Good song.
This is the Gene Simmons he wanted us to think he was all the time, the sleazy pervert. I mean, he was that
riff. That riff is great.
Perfect song. No notes. Mainline. Don't need this.
A bunch of guys that are not really druggies singing about drugs doesn't make sense.
Is that what it was? I didn't even know.
I mean, mainlining heroin, that's where I think it comes from. I mean, Ace is not quite a drug addict yet, so I don't know.
Yeah. Then we move on into Coming Home. The Unplugged is better.
Coming Home is like a song I never appreciated fully until that Unplugged, and I was like, oh yeah, that song, that's awesome.
Yeah, now we have something here.
And they actually wrote, it's kind of funny, it's like they wrote the song Coming Home that should have come after Alive, the live record, right? Like that's the song that should have come out, the first song on the next record, not two records earlier.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but
no, I'm just saying.
No, I completely agree. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Good stuff, though.
And then we get into Strange Ways. Great Ace Frehley song. Nice. A lot of talk was made about the production of this record. I think the muddiness and the weirdness improves it because, yes, you are absolutely right. This is a mixed bag of songs. They were not ready. And this is going to become a latent motif with Kiss. They were not ready to go to the studio and they were ordered to go in, which is probably the scariest thing for a band not ready. So, speaking of not ready, they go into, they're on tour, they're in Los Angeles. Neil Bogart says, hey, you guys are awesome. Nobody's buying Hotter Than Hell anymore. I need you to go record a new one. That's how you did it back in the day. So, 1975. We are only 2 years into this. Not even. We're 18 months in, and we're talking about the 6th record between all these dumbasses. 6th. Wicked, Mo, Chell.
Not counting those records, though. Like, who's counting those records? You want to count those records?
We're still talking about the 6th time they're going to the studio.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
I mean, it's just that's just how much you did it back then. So now we get into Dress to Kill, the last studio album we're going to discuss today. And we are talking about an album they were not prepared to release. They were not prepared to record and had not written. The story as it goes was Gene and Paul would write a song, Ace and Peter would show up, they would teach Ace and Peter, and they'd record it. An album was recorded at this point in time for this band in 2 to 3 weeks. The whole fucking thing, which is probably why they're only about a half an hour long and a lot of 2-minute tunes. So we start off with Room Service. Okay. It sets the tone, unfortunately.
It's probably the weakest opening song on the Kiss record, including Got to Choose, which is like says a lot.
Yeah, you know what? We didn't talk about that. That should not have been the opener.
No, it's like it's not the worst song. It's just not a Kiss. It doesn't sound like Kiss.
It's not an opener though.
Yeah, that also.
Okay, so now we move into the Gene Simmons slagging off era, unfortunately. Gene Simmons blew his load on the first 2 records. I will die on this hill. You can put, for the rest of the 70s, if you could come up with 5 classic Gene Simmons tunes, I'll call you a liar.
There's 2.
Two-Timer is, however, not one of them. It's fuck terrible. This song is awful and should be erased. Thoughts?
I can add nothing more. You're right.
Now we move into Ladies in Waiting, because if you thought Two-Timer was terrible, wait, Gene Simmons has worse.
He is, yeah.
We have a lower gear.
These are some Nikki Sixx level
lower than neutral. Oh yeah. Next we move on into Getaway, which is an Ace Frehley song sung by Peter Criss.
It's not horrible. It's okay. I can live without it.
Now we have exactly. It never played live. Never on anything. It was here and now it's gone, and I'm fine with that. Next, we move into Rock Bottom. Rock Bottom has an amazing 2.5 minute opener for some reason of them just playing the guitar. Yeah,
Led Zeppelin 3 thing.
I guess they just needed to fill out the record.
Yeah, Rock Bottom, the song.
Because it has nothing to do with the song. The rest of the song's good.
It's all
Not
right.
great.
It's all right.
Right. Now we flip that shiz. Okay.
And then this is where the record gets real good.
Right. We get Come On and Love Me.
My favorite Kiss song ever.
Abject classic. Saw them play it live on the Lost Cities tour. They brought it back.
It's even better live. Actually, the record version is just good. It's good songwriting. It's not heavy. You hear it. The live version is mind-blowing. It's that good.
Correct. Now, then we drop in Anything for My Baby.
All right.
Okay. It's a song that happened.
They do these things. They do these things over the Motown stuff over and over. Yeah. Boy meets girl. Girl breaks boy's heart. Boy cries about it. Every song.
Now, however, we drop the bomb. She is perfection. This is the only song on this record in my mind that achieves perfection. Ace Frehley steals Robbie Krieger's solo from 5 to 1, reappropriates it because he's out of ideas too. Again, they're recording this really quickly. So I should mention that Anything for My Baby was a Wicked Lester tune. As is, no, I'm sorry. No, it's not that one. She is a Wicked Lester tune, as is the next song is a Wicked Lester tune.
She is amazing. My second favorite Kiss song ever. So my two favorite Kiss songs are on this album. She is a masterpiece, been covered many times, but especially well by Anthrax with John Bush.
Oh yeah,
and it's he is so good. He sounds a lot like Gene for some reason.
That is the best song on the worst tribute record ever.
Kiss My Ass. Maybe we should do the Kiss My Ass record.
Oh God, most of it's bad.
Oh, we have to do it though.
Oh Jesus Christ. Okay, Love Her All I Can. Another Paul Stanley song from back in the day. Okay. Now we get to the statement song. Neil Bogart actually came to them and said, "Hey, you got to do something. You got to be big. You got to be awesome." And so they came up with Rock and Roll All Night. It's a song, Drive Me Wild, combined with a song by Paul Stanley. And they come up with an amazing thing. And I'm so tired of it. I am so sick of it. It might as well be Enter Sandman. It can go to hell.
I was going to say it is the Kisses Enter Sandman. If Kisses Stairway to Heaven.
Right. If I never hear it again, fine. But
you know what's interesting about it? When you just strip it back and you just for a second forget that you have heard this song on radio or in person 1,000,000 times, and you just take that away for a second and you just think about this band that was struggling to do they like
anything
larger than life to do anything in their mind, larger than life, would do anything to be as big as they dream to be. Work their asses off. Whether these things are good or not, these albums are mostly middling with a few gems. All of them. Occasional brilliance. They're mostly correct 6s and 7s out of 10 to me. C's. These records are C level with an occasional A song on them.
I would give A, for me, it's A, B, C for these, which averages out to, B minus.
Fair. Rock and Roll All Night is the culmination of what they were aspiring to do.
What they were trying to be.
Yeah, they wanted to be it. And just on the surface, like we're not talking, these lyrics are not deep, but they are more about communal. They're less about me and you, which is it's
all about all of us.
Gene's obsession with the Beatles and Paul's obsession with the Beatles is this me and you conversation. And finally, they have a song that is all of us. Again, Black Diamond is kind of an all of us story,
right?
Also, but so Rock and Roll Night is about all of us together, and it's it could be no simpler than I want to rock and roll all night and party every day, and you strip everything else away, and like it's amazing that sentiment. Like there's not that many songs like it in all of rock.
Agreed.
And just in terms of that kind of feeling. And I love the bass line, very adventurous and cool bass line for a rock song. Very cool chords, great singing chorus. Does not have a solo. got a very okay
the live version does, and he uses the same one forever, which just goes to show that this wasn't finished.
Yeah. They rushed this out. It's got the fade out on the record version. It's bad.
There's
Super
even
bad. Like you would never have it done that way.
Did you ever notice that there's an S in the wrong place? If you look right here, KIS.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know, there's a whole. I didn't want to sidetrack us because we're short for time, but I think
real quick
because we still need to talk about Alive. There's a whole thing. So they draw Ace. Paul drew the first Kiss logo. Ace said, "Hey, that's a good idea. But why don't we
backwards?" Ace.
Paul. All right, Paul drew the first Kiss logo, and Ace says, "That's a good idea. Let's make the S's lightning bolts." Hey.
Oh, I apologize.
And so Ace goes in and draws the lightning bolts, but they're not symmetrical. They're kind of like a little offset. They submit the logo to the record company, and the record company goes, "Yeah, but don't you want that touched up a little better? Don't you want that redrawn better? We'll redraw it for you." And Paul, who is an artist and went to art high school, said, "No, I leave it. We are a band of mistakes. We want it unfinished. We want it rough." And so they left it that way. And then so that there's two versions of the Kiss logo. The classic Kiss logo, there's the all together letters. Well, I'm getting there. There's the all together letters, and then there's the version you have there with the spread out letters. In 7 or 8 companies where the Nazi SS is verboten and not allowed, and also Israel, also other parts of Africa, you cannot have the SS's together in like lightning bolts.
Right.
Much like the Nazi.
So they do the Z's.
So they had to do the Z's. If you have a Kiss record with the Z's on it, come at us in the comments. I want to know. And just that needed to be discussed. Go ahead.
Fair enough. So let's move on.
Kiss are not Nazis with 3/4 of the band Jewish people.
Some of them are. But,
oh no, come on. Ace has got some questionable moments of mild
look,
racism.
I have seen 3 of the 4 members in legitimate Nazi regalia. One of them, however, was Paul Stanley, so work on that. But you know what? They whatever. They are what they are. Back in I'm kidding.
They are what they are, dicks.
Yeah, they are dicks. So I'm kidding about the Nazi thing. I don't think any of them are Nazis, but the 70s were a different time in terms of dealing with that kind of thing and how we dealt with it. So let's move past that and just ignore it. So now we move on into Alive. Now, I believe that they made Alive because basically they said to Neil Bogart, "We're not making any money. You're not paying us. We're just going to go ahead and do this last record, get out of our contract." So, and then there is the Johnny Carson record, which almost bankrupted the company. So they did the cheapest version to get out of their contract as possible, the live record. And at this time, live records were not a thing. Jimi Hendrix released in 1970, band Gypsies. And, there were a bunch of live records ahead of that. However, how many can you name between 1970 and 1976? Or 1975 even. So it's just not a thing. It's not an art form again. Then Kiss releases Alive. Who knows how much of it is live? Obviously, if you go back and you watch any of the videos from that time, there's a lot of stuff overdubbed. Peter says his drums are the same all the way through. They claim it was recorded in Detroit during Let Me Go Rock and Roll. You can plainly hear Gene Simmons say, "Let me hear you, Quad City." And the Quad Cities are the 4 cities in northern Illinois and Iowa. One of them is Davenport, where they recorded some shows. So yes, it's a lot of stuff is live, a lot of stuff is not. What makes Alive, ! In my humble opinion, the greatest live record of all time is the illusion. Remember, we discussed the illusions at the beginning. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have put forth the myth and the illusion forever that Kiss is the greatest live band of all time. And frankly, that's a lie. I'm sorry. I love you. It's a lie. That's why you had to record 7 more shows after the 3 you recorded for Alive, because you couldn't do it. So you had to do it again and again and again. However, Alive delivers that pristine, that crystal clear performance. It sounds like you're at a concert, except it sounds like you're at a concert with amazing acoustics. There is amazing interplay with the crowd. There is amazing interplay between the band members. It sounds perfect. Eddie Kramer is an amazing human being about getting a sound. And he took those tapes. He threw in some overdubs naturally. And he released, and he came back with basically the Kraken of live records. There are very few live records, and I am a huge fan of live albums. I have 8 Metallica live albums. I have 10 Iron Maiden live albums. If I love you, you're a band, put it out. It's going on the shelf. Period. That's all there is to it. But there is no other live record that comes anywhere near Alive. Thoughts?
I have very few that differ from you. I agree. Alive was hugely impactful. After the success of Alive, every band had to have a live album. Every band recorded the audience and then piped it in over the performance. So it's not an actual live recording as much as it's the live band who then go. And like again, so if Kiss had to go record 10 live shows, they still went in and overdubbed stuff in the studio.
And still overdubbed.
And still overdubbed. However, things like just you wanted the best and you got it, the hottest band in the land, Kiss, J.R. Smalley, the sound of the bombs recorded at their pre-tour rehearsal in the arena, in the empty arena, which is why they sound so big, because there's no crowd or air dampening the sound.
It's the perpetuation of the myth.
Paul, as the star child, fully come alive in a way you never really get it on albums.
He was still the lover then.
What?
He was still the lover. He wasn't Star Child till like 76.
Okay.
They changed that all around over and over, and I refused to hold on to that retcon.
Sure. Anyway, the Paul Stanley live banter. Gene doesn't talk to the crowd much at all. Paul does all the talking, and he, he's half preacher, half rock shaman. Do you like to party? How many people out here like to get high? Nobody in the band except Ace and Peter like to party and get high at this time.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a whole vibe, and it's just perfection.
I have I can't argue with it. Had a tremendous effect on the whole industry, not just Kiss's fortunes completely reversing. Suddenly that album sells 1 million copies. Everyone has to have it. Suddenly the Kiss's back album starts selling. Why? I don't know. They're not as good, but they start selling.
They're not as good.
Maybe they were thinking their career is over. Now they're on tour for the next year and a half.
Correct. And on top of that, now they re-up with Casablanca. They put in a thing for the solos. The solo records were created in 1976. Don't let them tell you different. So they have now mapped out their next 5 years. And I think that is a great place to wrap this week up. And next week, we will spend more time on the rest of it, because the story gets more interesting, quite frankly.
Surely. All right. I have no other thoughts.
I got nothing. It's your turn to take us out.
Is it my turn to take us out? All right, then. Well, this has been the Glacially Musical Podcast. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. If you made it this far, we especially thank you. Your host, Nick Cameron, and I can be found on all the social medias. They'll be in the link in the description. If you've enjoyed this podcast, if you've enjoyed not this podcast, but other episodes we've done, give us a like and a follow. 5 stars on Apple Music. Follow and subscribe on Spotify. These things help make a difference in our lives. And surely subscribe to us if you're watching on YouTube, because Lord knows we could use the help there. I am Keefy from the Glacially Musical Podcast, along with my host, Nick Cameron. And I will say this podcast does not play in Peoria, but Kiss probably has a lot.
Amityville vibrator.
All right, then.